Hi guys, yeah, so I'm back today. We're going to be working on the Mini again. We've got a couple of track rod ends to do, a couple of ball joints, anti-roll bar links. So yeah, I'll get into it. Right, so first I've got to disconnect the battery off the Mini just because I've got a Ford Fiesta here at the moment. Just got to jump start that because that's run out of battery, so I'm just going to get around to doing that now. So just got to pull back this strip, stick that up there, take that out of the way, get 10mm. Undo these two. It's a bit of a ball ache doing this, but I don't have a jump pack, so that's what I do. Sit it back. Sit outside. Yeah. Pry it. There you go, pry that off. Take it to the side. Pull that out. So I'm going to come over here to the Fiesta. Come inside. Bonnet releases over passenger side. Open the bonnet. Just going to stick my battery up there, run back and grab the jump leads. Back. Lift up that. Have to lift that. Clip it on. Clip that on there. There we go. So now, let's see if this beauty will start. There you go, it's all started. Now I'm just going to disconnect these. Get rid of them. Chuck it to the side, take the battery off. Got to stick that back onto the Mini. There we go. Make sure the battery overflow is connected. Get that over on the terminals. Stick that on the terminal. What you got to do with the Mini is make sure, if you can see there's like two plastic tabs there, they're just sort of alignments, so you need to make sure the wire sits in between there when you do it up. So yeah, I'm just going to do this all back together, then I'll get back to you. Back over to the Fiesta. Shut that. Shut that. It's hopping. Call it pairs. So yeah, I've moved both of my cars. I've still got a van up here that I've been working on. We had a little issue with the gearbox, so I took the gearbox apart and replaced a couple of bearings. So yeah, I mean, I've been fairly busy recently. Sorry I haven't posted, but sort of it's life, isn't it? So yeah, let's get into this. Yeah, so now we've got the Mini in. We're going to just jack her up, both sides, well, all four corners, and then we're going to get to work. Right, so yeah, stick jack under, straight in the centre. It's not in a jacking point, but it'll be fine as long as you spread out the load with a piece of wood. And then yeah, just jack her up. Get your jack, stick it under. Go a little bit higher. Right. Lower it down. Good. Right, so now we're going to take off all four wheels, and then yeah. So I've been having a problem with my inner track rod. Well, that's what I deem it to be. There's a tiny bit of play in the steering. You can feel a little bit of sort of knocking as you go over little bumps and everything. So what we're going to do is replace them both sides today. I have a special tool, but you can do it with just a spanner. It's a little bit harder, but yeah, it is what it is, and we'll start getting into it. Right, so what you're going to need for this is a 17mm, or I believe some of them are actually 16mm for the outer track rod, a socket, sorry, with a ratchet. Then you need a 24mm spanner and a 19mm spanner to undo the lock nut, and then sort of remove the outer track rod. You then want some sort of, you can use a permanent marker, but I like to use paint pen because it just makes it fairly obvious, and that just allows you to mark behind the nut so you can sort of keep your tracking sort of when you put it back together, just so you don't have to get an alignment again. Obviously it's best to have an alignment, but really it's acceptable if you mark it and then count your turns as you come out. So yeah, we're going to do that. Right, so yeah, I've got my 17mm socket on the outer track rod, and turn the wheels to the side just to give you a little bit more access. So I'm going to undo that. You want to be careful that you don't spin the ball joint at the same time as the nut. You normally get that with sort of fairly worn parts, but I've replaced these recently, so they're fine. You can sort of sort that if you have that problem. If you slide the jack under the ball joint and then jack it up and put some pressure on it, it should hold the taper in there so you can get the nut off. An impact gun is recommended in that situation, just because it makes the job a hell of a lot easier. So I take that nut off, and now I'm going to need a hammer and a small punch to go in the centre of the stud that sticks out, just to knock it out of its taper. So yeah, do that. Right, so now I've got my punch, I've got my hammer. I'm going to put that in between, and as you can see here, just going to slot it in the hole. I like doing it like this just because you don't risk damaging the threads. Just be careful with your hand sort of on the dust shield. So yeah, let me do that. There you go, simple as that. Right, so once this is off, just stick the nut back on there just so you don't lose it. And then the next thing you want to do, if the thread here is fairly dirty, just clean it off, and then get your pen of any sort of colour, obviously other than like black or brown. Mark it literally just where the nut sits. Let that dry just for a couple of seconds, and then grab your 19 and 24mm spanners. You want to stick that one on there on the outer track rod, and then that one on there, and then apply pressure and try to crack off the nut. So I cracked that nut off, and now I'm just going to wind off the outer track rod. You can obviously count how many rotations you do to try to keep the alignment, but yeah, do it however you want. So then I'm just going to place that part to the side, and now you are left with the inner track rod, which of course is what we're changing. It doesn't feel loose by hand, but I think it must have some small play in there, which is fairly noticeable when you're in the car. So I'm now going to undo this nut, and then going to slide the boot off afterwards. Okay, so yeah, got that nut off, so now I'm just going to slide off the boot. What you want to do is just check, see if there's any cracks or anything, which mine seems fine. These are essential just to stop dirt getting inside. So yeah, if it is split, then you need to get a new one. They just literally cost a couple of quid from a car parts store. So yeah, now you can see this nut back here. Yeah, so that's a 32mm nut, and yeah, you can use a spanner. Some people like it with minis just to remove this bit of the arch liner, or if you did have the car apart and you had the control arm off, then obviously it's a lot easier, but you can actually get to it. It's just a bit of a pain. So what I'm going to do is I bought this tool, which I've actually never used before, but I have struggled in the past with these because they are very annoying. So yeah, a simple mechanism that sort of self-tightens on the nut. As you twist it, this end you can either put a socket on it or you can stick a ratchet on it. So what I'm going to do is stick a ratchet on it, just like that, and then stick that in over the nut, and then we're going to undo it. So I think that's that cracked off. So we're going to sort of centralise that and then spin it off by hand, or do it like that. Nice. There we go. This comes. To be honest, it really doesn't feel that bad, but there was a bit of play in there, so I'm just going to change it out anyway. And also, as you can see, that's been a bit tight at some point and it's been mangled by someone. Definitely not me. So yeah, we'll get the new part now and we'll stick it in. Right, so now I've got all the new parts ready. Got a bit of brake cleaner and a bit of blue roll. I'm gonna sort of wipe down the steering rack, just to get any shit off of there that might have fallen off any of the parts surrounding. I mean, you can see it is actually a bit dirty. And then, now I've done that, I want to get some grease. Have some sort of, just normal grease by the way, like multi-purpose. Don't use copper grease. And then, yeah, get a bit of grease on there. Rub it down the steering rack again, mainly on the teeth that you can see. So there, that's all on there. So now what I did is, where I have the white marker pen that was behind the lock nut, I've now got the new part here, and what I've done is I've moved the nut until the equal sort of length that it was on here. I double checked the parts so they are exactly the same. So now obviously my alignment should be pretty good. So I'm going to stick this in the rack and get it started. Alright, I've put it on. I just need to finish tightening it up. Screw it, make sure you screw it all the way on, and then nip it up with your spanner or your tool like I've got. Can't really torque this down, but obviously tight will be kind of fine. Oh, need to take that off for this tool. But yeah, I'm going to do that. And then the next thing will be to put the rubber boot on, cable tie that down, or whatever you want to use. And then yeah. So that's tight now, which is nice. I've got the boot here. What I can do, which make it a little bit easier, is put the cable tie around the boot first before you actually go on there, and then pull it, not so it tightens up on it, but just so it's sort of going to stay on there as you push it on. You want to push this all the way over the back of the rack. If you have a look in there, back here there is sort of the mounting surface, and then also on the inner track rod bit here there's a step down, and that's also where the other end needs cable tying on. So I'm just going to do that and I'll be back with you. So I've got the inner bit on, so now I'm going to put the outer bit on. Like I said, there's a recess bit here, so you just got to put it onto there and then put the cable tie on and pull it tight. Make sure it is proper tight, and then it's got no chance of coming off. There we go. And then yeah, if you've got flush cuts, just chop that off. If not, just be careful next time you go working in there, because you might cut yourself. Okay, and then so now what I'm going to do is put this nut back on for my alignment. But this is advised, but you don't have to. Get a bit of copper grease, stick it on the shaft. It sort of just makes it easier for whoever's going to work on it next, yourself or a garage or whoever. So I'm going to screw that nut on. Grease is building up a little bit, but it's fine. Just going to wipe that down a little bit. Keep going. So I've got this as like a visual reference. Get in there. Just a bit more, and we're there. So that's where I'm going to leave that nut for now. I'm going to stick a tiny bit more grease on it, just like that, and then grab the outer track rod and then wind her up. Remember, if you've counted how many turns, then obviously recount them as you do it up, or you can do it the way I did it. So there we go, that feels pretty good. Tightened up against the nut a bit. So then we want to go back and grab the 24 and the 19. Stick the 19 on here, on the outer, and this on the inner, and then sort of tighten her up. And there we have it. That is sort of the new part installed. All that's left is to screw this nut back on. So just get it, go over to your hub, your upright, shove that back in the hole, put the nut on, do it up, torque it up, I'll leave the torque down in the description, and then yeah, that's it. So obviously you want to repeat that process on the other side. Repeat that process on the other side. It's a fairly simple job really if you've got like the right tools. I'll leave a list again down in the description. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, whatever. Yeah, so I'll see you in the next one.